Welcome to the Emerging Lawyer at the Coffee Conversation Show, powered by the Emerging India Forum TIF and a tech partner, Prime Infotech Solution. Theme is Litigation, Learning, and Life. Innovation meets advocacy and IP. We have with us Hemant Thadhani, Senior Advocate at Supreme Court, a practice head of intellectual property at Crawford, Bayley and Company, a leading figure in the world of IP law. With a wealth of experience spanning patents, trademark, copyright, cyber law, and more, Hemant has worked with high profile clients across diverse industries. But there's more to Hemant than his stellar legal acumen. He's also a passionate learner, a global thinker, and someone with an eye on the ever changing landscape of law. So, welcome Hemant to today's coffee conversation.
Thank you, Amir, for having me today. It's an honor to be a part of this show, and I look forward to the discussion.
Wow. So, Hemant, let me explain you. There are three rounds. One is a professional, then there is a second round is the personal round, and there is a surprise rapid fire round for which you have to be witty, funny, and quick, and you will get a gift also, which will be autographed, but you have to win that. So, friends, I'm Lion Amir Virani, host at Coffee Conversation and a legal tech evangelist at Prime Infotech Solution. We help law firms, corporate legal, startups, SMEs with world-class technology, software licensing, and tech trading solutions. So, my first question, Hemant, what got you interested in intellectual property law, and how has the journey been till date?
So, intellectual property law is a big basket of different subsets or sub-laws. So, you have patent, trademark, designs, copyright, you have confidential information. So, as a broad level, it may sometimes also refer to the technology law because it may be one of the laws which govern technology at some point of time. So, I have dealt with all such laws in the IP law basket, and the journey has been quite good. I've almost been within the IP space for the last 15 years, and it's been an incredible journey. And I can't complain anything about my work. I do enjoy working in the IP space.
Wow. So, during of this warm-up call, I had asked you the question for the practice head. So I'll just frame it again for you. Uh, who is a practice head for our viewers out there, for young legal professionals who want to become a practice head? What are the parameters? I'm just framing two, three questions together. So for young legal professionals who want to become a practice head, how the journey can be planned with your advice. So, what are the roles of the practice head? What are the parameters to becoming a practice head, and the work role?
If I have to talk about the workload, so there are two components to it. One is that I will simplify it for normally when we work as an associate or a senior associate. So what we do is we generally execute any type of work. So in IP, whatever IP work that we are doing, it could involve that. But when we are talking about practice head, in that case, it not only involves getting the work done, doing the work yourself, and also supervising the team. Then you have to also you are basically the face of the firm or face of the practice, and you also have to generate business. You have to get clients. You have to service the client. If something goes wrong within your team, then you have to rectify it. So it comes the right, or rather the privilege, comes with a lot of responsibility also. That is as far as the scope of being a practice head is concerned. Criteria, there is no set criteria. Obviously, you not only you would have to have knowledge in the IP space or the working knowledge, but you also have to have a managerial skill of managing a team and getting the things getting the things done within the team. Be a team player and back your team members. So these are like the general qualities a manager generally has, and coupled with that, you have to also obviously be sound in law and in your space in which you are working.
Wow, beautifully. So, Hemant, what are the top challenges faced by intellectual property lawyers in today's digital age?
So, I mean, the transition has been quite a big one. Like 10 years, 15 years back, people used to use like trademarks or other misuse the trademarks on tangible modes, be it on products or anything that is tangible. But recently, we are coming across last 5, 7 years, 8 years. We have been seeing different modes of usage on online, and even online there are different further there are sub uses usage which were never there and which were never heard before. If I give you an example, the when we use a trademark, it should be like, generally it is considered that it should be visible to the eyes, to the naked eyes, that it is visible. But then we have seen cases where invisible use also is held to be use of a trademark. So if I have to give you an example of a website, let's say flowers.com, just an example, imaginary website which sells flowers. So if I have to like attract traffic to that website, I will use flowers as a meta tag, or rose flower or any other flower, lotus flower. So that these are meta tags. Now there was not just in India, there have been many cases outside of India where they have considered that even because the use of a meta tag will not be visible to the user, it will be
Hmm.
within the codes of the website. So even that usage is considered as an infringement of a trademark if that trademark is registered in that particular category in which the business is being operated. So you could imagine that this is something that we would not have imagined at that point of time. And this is a sheer evolution of technology and how the trademarks have been used or rather misused. So we have to obviously evolve with time, and the challenges faced today is that one is that there are constantly there's a constant evolution of technology. We have to see how technology is evolving and how people are also misusing the technology to their advantages, and they are coming up with different ways to exploit somebody else's IP. So these are the major challenges that we come across. And then second challenge obviously is to identify an infringer in a digital space, because there's a lot of anonymity, and now we have data protection issues as well. So the problem that we face is many times because of data privacy issues, the person who is owning a website or who's basically running the show, you are not able to get his personal details or sensitive personal details because of privacy issues. And because of that reason, you're not able to enforce your IP laws. So these are like primarily the major challenges that I generally come across in enforcing IP rights.
Wow. So recently, I came across a couple of cases like Javed Habib's franchisee. He defaulted on his franchise payment, but still continued using Javed Habib's logo and the branding. Then second case is of Peter England, where they won the case. So my question is, okay, how can such cases be avoided, and what precautionary measure should a startup founder should take, because he's putting in a lot of efforts to establish his brand and having a franchise, or like Aditya Birla, Peter England, because they have invested a lot of amounts for marketing and developing the brand.
So generally, whenever a client comes to us, we don't obviously tell them immediately file a litigation unless it's completely a counterfeit or is something which is going to jeopardize the rights of the owner. Till that time, we try and work out the matter through other means, let's say by sending a warning notice or warning letter, and also by trying to call up the party and understand what their situation is, whether that was sometimes they do commit mistakes and they are not aware. I know ignorance is not an excuse, but sometimes people are generally not aware. And as a lawyer, it's sometimes our duty to make the people aware and then make them understand that this is not something that you are doing right, and this can be rectified, and you can avoid heavy litigation costs that you can incur in future if the owner decides to initiate an action against you. So the first step is always that we try and counsel the clients that try and work out the matter before you go to the court. That will not only save time and money, that will also be a quicker resolution.
Wow. So, Hemant, you have worked with high profile clients across various industries. How do you tailor your legal strategy for different business sectors?
So what happens is it's like horses for courses. So I mean the same strategy may not work for one industry, but it may work for another one. So sometimes there are small players sprawling from time to time. So we have to consider how to go about it. Sometimes there are cases where I sending a notice would not be working. So I will have to advise the client to initiate litigation. So let's say consider a case of pharmaceutical drug which has been copied, it's a counterfeit drug, then I would obviously ask the client that please go ahead and file a litigation and conduct a raid before through the commissioner appointed by the court, so that you can seize the infringing material and is not basically given out in the market by the and sold by the infringer in the market, because that will even deteriorate your reputation further. So we don't want to be in that situation. So I would advise in such cases, file a case and get an order from the court and have the product seized. Those are infringing. But in some cases where, let's say, there is a website which is operating, they're not selling, but they're offering certain online services of, let's say, job offerings or matrimony. In such cases, there is no product as such. They may have
Hmm.
exploited the brand, but there is no like imminent danger. In such cases, maybe we will consider that, okay, right now we can send a notice, we can send a warning letter, and we can try and work out the matter. If this does not work out, then the second step would be to initiate litigation. So we have to weigh the pros and cons of like sending a warning letter or initiating litigation directly without the warning letter, and then we have to consider advising the client what would be the most suitable strategy for a particular client in a particular domain.
Wow, beautiful. So, Hemant, let's go memory down the lane. Can you share a memorable or challenging case you have worked and how did you tackle it?
So there have been a number of memorable cases, but as I mentioned, like in our previous conversation, I mentioned that how the technology has evolved over a period of time, and I did handle a case involving use of meta tags. And in India, the jurisprudence was not quite clear in the sense that there were no direct cases that would deal with the use of meta tag in as a trademark, that is invisible use of trademark as a meta tag. So we did a lot of research, and we pulled out cases from the US and the UK jurisprudence where the trademarks have been used as a meta tag and those were found to be infringing use. And then based on that, we filed a case before the Bombay High Court, and in one of the orders passed by Justice Patel, he was kind enough to elaborate on the definition of meta tag, and also elaborate that this is nothing but a sheer hijacking of the reputation of the trademark owner, because when you are using the trademark as a meta tag, what you're trying to do is you are enticing the user, and you are basically attracting the website towards your website, enticing the traffic towards your website by using the meta tag, because eventually your website will be coming up in the organic search the moment you start using the meta tag, which is owned by another party as a trademark. So that was one of the interesting matter, and it's quite a memorable one then for me.
Wow. So, Hemant, how has education at Queensland University of Technology and GNLU shaped your approach to handling IP?
So both the educations have been memorable, and both gave me a different set of skills. If I talk about GNLU, it did give me a combination, or rather a unique combination of law and technology, because the undergrad program that I did there was of BSc LLB, which is a science and law combination. So because of that, I was able to not only expose myself to the technology part, but also with the legal part of the legal education. So this combination of law and technology is something that is quite unique to IB professionals, and it is very useful when it comes to handling patent cases in the IP domain. And when it comes to QUT, it was it's an international university, and it's a research-based institution. So a lot of emphasis was given on research, group discussions, and logical thinking. There were a lot of foreign delegates from WIPO and Japan Patent Office, and even Korean Patent Office, even the local Australian firms. Those who dealt with in IP laws, they used to come and share their knowledge during the course. And the emphasis was on the practical applications of the law. And because it was more focused on the Asia Pacific region, so there were more than 10, 12, the participants were from more than 10, 12 nations. So it did give a lot of comparative analysis about different countries, how they operate in IP space. And it was a very good exposure from that angle. And even today, I mean, a lot of time it does happen that I come across cases and I'm able to think in a certain manner because of the education that has been imparted in these universities.
Ah, beautiful. So, like we had this coffee speaker, Suvarna Pandey. She had a background from BSc, same like you, and then she got to do a diploma through a scholarship, which was a 1 year program, especially for women, and she got to do an internship. So, and same thing by coming from a science background, which now in venturing into law. So what I'm trying to tell all my viewers out there, okay, law is not only for BCom or any, but science background also can venture into engineering, can also take up and become successful lawyers, in-house counsel. So many opportunities are there. Like Hemant is an example. So many people are there who are contributing, because IP is a specialized field where your knowledge comes in handy. So my next question, Hemant, in your experience, how has the field of intellectual property evolved in India over the last decade?
There have been a lot of evolvement especially because of technology. So I mentioned about the MetaTag case. Now there have been other instances, for example, where Google permits you to buy or bid on AdWords, and sometimes those AdWords are trademarks owned by third parties. So that is also a subject matter of like a litigation that had happened several years back. So that is another area where IP rights were infringed. Now, recently, last 5, 6 years, we have seen different types of exploitation of IP rights through different means. And the one which is doing rounds right now is the litigation against the OpenAI, the ChatGPT. Now, there, what has happened is you would know this ANI, Asia News Network. So they have filed a copyright infringement litigation before the Delhi High Court against OpenAI ChatGPT platform. And what they are saying is they are contending is that the news reports which are owned by ANI, those are copyrighted. Those are copyrighted material of ANI. And what ChatGPT is doing is ChatGPT is taking those news report as training data, and they are using that training data to give response to the queries input by the users. So there are, in fact, in the last month itself, the case became active, and I think somewhere around December of 2024, Delhi High Court had considered this issue, and they had framed a couple of issues that whether this amounts to infringement of copyright, this use of copyrighted material as a training data to give answers to the queries asked by the ChatGPT user, and or whether it's a fair use under the Copyright Act. And so these questions were considered by the court, and they have appointed a couple of amicus curiae to answer these questions. So this is something which has now evolved. We have come to this stage now. So where we would not have imagined 10 years back that this could be a bone of contention, that such a usage can amount to infringement of copyright.
Wow. So, Hemant, you have been part of committees like INTA's Data Protection Committee. So, how do these roles enhance your professional expertise?
So there are a couple of things attached there. So these are committees of International Trademark Association. So generally there is always an overlap between IP laws and other laws. And when it comes to privacy laws and data laws, there's certainly an overlap. And in my during my tenure at the Data Protection Committee, I was exposed to different laws practiced by different nations, because here what happens is there are many committee members belonging to different countries, attorneys from different law firms belonging to different countries are members, and then they share their thoughts and what are the challenges that can be faced by different people. So here the one of the primary challenge that was considered from a privacy law perspective was how data privacy law can be an obstacle in enforcement of IP rights. Now, I'll give you a very simple example. You would see different websites operating across the World Wide Web. And many times there are those restrictions when you are not able to see the registrant of the website because of some privacy protect like service that has been availed. And sometimes there are laws, local laws, because of which a particular registrar will not disclose you the name of the registrant. Now, name could obviously be a personal information, and when I don't know the name of the registrant of a website, I cannot take action against that person. I don't even know which country it belongs to. So, in essence, data privacy law can be an hindrance in enforcing IP laws at some cases. So, we did understand an overlap between these two laws. We discussed that aspect and how we could come out of it, how we could basically help our client better in such situations is something that we consider an experience as committee members.
Wow. So, Hemant, who has influenced you or you follow from the world of IP law?
So my IP law passion has been from the, I mean, I would not say childhood, but I was always into technology. I was always intrigued by by different technologies, and I basically belong to an age when we used to have those desktop computers initially, and then we have also played with PlayStation, and also now PC gaming and everything we have seen. But back then, technology was something which was quite new, and it was quite attractive. So I always wanted to become an engineer, and I wanted to enter into the space of engineering. But I have a legal background in the sense that my father used to be a district judge in Madhya Pradesh, and he has always been an influence. Uh, and as a parent, he always wanted me to consider the option of law, and somehow I managed to mix both the things together, both the passions together, and I basically was inclined to do IP law.
Wow. So, my last question for your professional journey around, Hemant, how has technology helped you and which legal tech tool has impacted your work?
So right now there are many legal tools which are there, and in terms of we are talking about technology, then especially when it comes to trademarks, there are many tools which are available which will help you conduct searches, and those are AI generated searches. So a lot of time they are much faster and much better in giving you results instead of doing a manual search on each class. What these AI tools help you is that they are faster and they can conduct searches across entire classes of the trademarks, and it will also help you identify the images. Sometimes you want to do an image search, that would a tool would help you in that. And apart from that, even the management of IP is also much more easier in the case where you're using a particular AI tool, and because it gives you automated deadlines, it will give you a calendar, it will give you a reminder whenever you want, and obviously on the day of deadline. So from that perspective, if you are using a particular legal tool, legal tech tool, life does become easier, and you are much more organized. It is basically hiring an associate just to maintain the deadlines and to maintain the portfolio, which is general. And obviously a human is like obviously bound to make mistakes, and many times we do miss deadline. It's a human tendency. So sometimes the technology does come to an aid, and it will help you that there's a deadline that is pending that you have to comply with.
Wow, beautiful. So let's go to the next round and understand Hemant as a person. Tell us about your family and your formative years, Hemant.
So my family, my father is has been a judge in the MP district judiciary, and my mother is a housewife. Now they both are obviously retired, and but as far as formative years are concerned, my schooling and all have been done from MP, and then I've moved places. I've stayed in many different places. I've stayed in Gujarat and I've stayed in Australia. I've been in Mumbai for almost 13, 14 years now. So, I mean, this is all about my formative years and my journey.
Wow. So, Hemant, are there any hobbies or activities that you are particularly passionate about?
Hobby as such, I generally try to take up any sport. So generally, it's cricket, and it's sometimes like obviously when during free time try to spend time with kids and family. So generally these ones.
Wow. So, Hemant, what's one skill or hobby you have always wanted to pick up but haven't had the chance yet?
I think it's I generally try and learn a new sport once in a year. But last time I tried tennis, and that is something that I could not go on for long. I did some sessions, and then I just could not because of time constraint. But I would like to pick it up and start again. I think.
Wow. That's interesting. So, put it in your bucket list for 2025 to complete and uh, take it up in a big way. Okay. Hemant, what's the one thing your friends say they love most about you?
I think it's got to be patience.
Okay. Imagine you have 1 week away from work, away from the gadgets. What would you like to do?
I think I would like to go to a place where there's no mobile network and I can just enjoy the nature, and I can maybe do scuba diving or maybe skydiving, something of some adventure sport.
Wow. So I did a copy. His interest, you should connect with Apna Minas. He would guide you. He has taken certification also. There are other coffee speakers also. So they would guide you for the scuba diving because you have to get trained and then you enjoy. So they would definitely, it's a lovely sport, scuba diving. You should watch that episode also, how his passion of scuba diving, Minas has been doing it. So, Hemant, what's a guilty pleasure that always lifts your spirit no matter what?
That's a difficult one, but maybe I think having desserts without any like limits as to quantity.
So, which is the favorite place to go and have a unlimited desserts?
It depends. Generally, I prefer Indian desserts more than the foreign ones. So, I mean, I like to try different ones. So there's no specific place, but yes, I try different desserts from different places.
Wow. Okay. How does a weekend sound for Hemant?
It really depends on the workload which is there during the week. But generally, if there's nothing much, it's generally spending time with kids and family and quiet dinner. Sometimes outside, going out and having dinner or lunch outside with friends and family, and doing the
Wow.
daily weekly chores. And that's all. I think weekend is not that long.
Okay. So my last question, which will be a googly one. Describe Hemant in one line.
Ah, I think keep calm and relax.
Okay. Let's have some fun. The rapid fire round. Uh, early mornings or late nights?
Early mornings.
Okay. A song that's currently on your playlist.
Uh, Sky full of stars.
Wow. Your go-to comfort food.
Dal and rice.
Wow. Books or podcast.
Podcast.
Coffee or chai.
It's chai.
Let's read. The best piece of advice you have ever received.
Ah, that's a difficult one. I'm waiting for one.
Okay. Your dream travel place.
uh, I think Switzerland.
Wow. Your favorite color.
Blue.
Your favorite movie.
It would be Three Idiots.
Wow. Wow. So you did well. And here's your gift, which will be autographed and sent to you. So,
Thank you.
friends, it was a lovely conversation having with Hemant Thadhani, practice head at Crawford Bayley and Company. Watch this episode how you can plan out your career path in IP, how you can become a practice head, leading a team. So, and his other interest, and he wants to go for scuba diving in this year. So, we wish him to fulfill this his interest. So, there are small little interesting things, many more things, inspiring journey. He has talked about the meta tags, which is beautiful, how which is unvisible the meta tags are, and how he went ahead and how the court has delivered on the definition of meta tags. So like this, there are lot more interesting tips shared by Hemant in the conversation. So there are 350 plus coffee episodes with different subject experts who have shared their uh, a professional and personal journey. Watch this episode, get inspired, and implement in your lives. And if you want to be featured like Hemant, visit our LinkedIn page, the Emerging India Forum, and DM over there. A team will invite you over a cup of coffee to have coffee conversation. Take care.
Thank you very much, Amir. Thank you for having me.